Hi everyone, it's Christy here from AdaptEd, and I'm so excited to go through with you my grocery store geometry unit that I use with my special education students. This is such a fun way of getting my students to really be able to understand things in space, areas, and really work on categorization and really have a chance to work on some math skills that their typical peers are also working on. So, my end goal for most of this is generally for my students to really start developing some mapping skills. Most of my students are really, their goals for their future, their parents, as well as themselves, they really want to be able to independently take the bus, go places, be able to have some sort of employment. And so in order for them to be able to do that, we really have to work on some mapping skills and have them understand some of these basic concepts. So I really like to do that with this geometry unit. Now, I'm always working on phonics skills, and so I did try to make sure all the names have can be phonetically read. If your students are at the very beginning levels, then they should at least be able to read the name of the person. There's always a little bit of a word problem right here, and then we get into the shopping list. So right here is I'm going to want my students, learning and knowing how to use a shopping list. And so daily practice is always something essential to be able to get our students to grow. So let's get started. They start with the shopping list, and then they need to start categorizing where they would buy these particular items. So if Nick here needs to buy a drink, 3 bananas, a pound of turkey, and bread, then let's look at this map of the grocery store and see where he should buy these items. So if he's going to buy a drink, then he would probably get that in the refrigerator section. So I teach my students just to circle the location and then check off the box. So, okay, he got a drink. Now let's look for 3 bananas. 3 bananas, that would definitely be in the produce section. A pound of turkey. Let's go to the deli for that. And then the bread would be in the bakery. So once you've finished your shopping list, then you're at the grocery store, you have your map done. We also really need to, talk about how did you get in? You came in through the door. And unless you want to be a thief, you need to pay before you leave. I like to use the next page. I feel like it definitely gives an additional geometry component to this. You could choose just to use this one and have your students map out their location. If you want to really get into a little bit more of the geometry, I would definitely print the next page. So I have my students transfer. So they circle. So they're going to D to P today. They're also going to B. They're going to R. They're going to E and to M to pay. So when we get to this page, we're really working on those geometry skills, and I teach my students some of the terminology. So we talk about that these are points, and then that they'll be creating line segments. So to get from point to point, how will we want to do that for this one? Well, you always need to start at the door. And I would say for this particular one that we would really want to start, here. Now there's 2 real options. You could go here or you could go here. And, you're going to be doing a little bit up and down. I just don't want to teach my students that you're going to go, here, here, then here, then here, then here. So what I really want them doing is thinking about it and coming up with a logical way that you would go through the store. It's not necessarily one right answer, but going back and forth is not a very efficient way. So we're gonna talk about the line segments. So then we went from point E to B, and so here's our geometry, E to B, and then put the line segment on top. Next logical place would go from B to P. From B to P. And then we go from P to D. I love that this gives them a lot of practical use of a ruler. P to D, D to R, and then R to M. We also definitely have a lot of discussions that M needs to be the last place that you go before you leave. And then you leave. So that M and E are always going to be the last ones. You can't do that out of order. M to E. And then you've created a plane. So this is definitely a very early beginner geometry unit, but my students love it. They feel really successful. And then when we go to the store, I really see a big improvement in their ability to categorize and purchase things and really map out their routes. So I hope you enjoy it. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know how it goes. And good luck.